for greatness in a sea of the dying and shameless. A sea of the aimless. I don't wanna be one of the nameless. I'ma wake up with the mindset that one day I'm gonna make it. And I don't think I'll be fine if I don't break my limitations. Don't try to stop me, I exist to write my own story. I'll make a decision if I want some peace or if I want the glory. Yeah, don't want a life that is complacent or possibly boring. I just want a life that is worth every day exploring.
My whole life I just wanted someone who would notice me. My whole life I just wanted to be somebody to be. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Nashville Superspeedway. After a wild Sunday night race, in real life, we get to come do it on iRacing. And it is round number 17 of this 2023 Sim500 NC811 Cup Series. Live from whatever you want to enter that rhymes with Nashville. Could become Crashville. Could be Clashville. You never know. It's going to be a fun race. That's all we know. And we're getting ready to rock and roll. It's race number 17 here from the Nashville Superspeedway. I am the captain, Chris Scala. Of course, with me is the man, Kevin England. And Kevin, of course, 150 laps tonight as we are in the warm-up session right now. Of course, the baseball game that was on beforehand, Red Sox Yankees, go figure, went too long and pushed us back time-wise, and here we are. So in all realism there, I'm trying to make up an excuse. But no, we've got a great race in store here for us.
Yeah, this racetrack is like some of the others in the season where it's just a... I don't know how to describe. You talk about Chicago, you talk about Kansas, you talk about this racetrack, Iowa. You're up on the wheel, you're trying to manhandle the car, top groove, bottom groove, enter high, enter low, run the yellow line, run the outside, try not to hit the wall on exit. It's got all those dynamics, and we saw from the race yesterday, the real one, that driver-wise, 2, 3 wide, not out of the question. Pit road is a challenge in the entry. It's got all the mix. I love this type of racetrack, and I think we're going to see a great show tonight.
No, I think you're absolutely right, and I'm looking forward to the racing that is coming up right now. Of course, should mention qualifying just got wrapped up. We weren't able to cover that one live, but it was, of course, presented by 811. No, it's below. Call 811 before you dig. I know here in Georgia, we got some pretty bad storms yesterday. A couple counties to my north here got clobbered pretty well, and a lot of the deliveries I was doing today were with twigs and limbs of trees and leaves all over the place. So there was definitely some tree damage here, but if you have any kind of power line issue, anything like that, obviously you want to be careful of that. But if you got to do some digging, more importantly, know it's below and call 811. So it looks like as we let the grid roll across the top of the screen, it will be Pedro Mojica, fresh off his win last night at Auto Club Speedway in the sweep there. We'll start with Nelson Rivera there on the outside row. David Comstock, Robert Frary after a not so fun last week for Robert there. He'll start fourth. Gonzalez and Myers there in row number 3. And the point standings as we line them up here as the cars roll off. Pedro Mojica leading right now by 82 over Chad Coleman. Of course, the top 20 here get in. But unlike the other series, in the Cup side of things, you got to have a certain amount of starts. 16. This is race 17 right now. So if you have less than 13 starts, or 13 or less, you're out. So Tommy Ryan, eliminate him out right now. You can eliminate a couple others. But as you're seeing here, the bubble guys, Doug Roth, Joe Hudson's right there, 13 back. Callan Tony, Brian Macklin, who won last week, of course, in that race. Jimmy Coleman and Glenn Campbell, your top 25 there in the points. So we're getting closer and closer now. And like the Xfinity side, or the Grand National side, I should say, Kevin, we've got plenty of time before we get into the playoffs here. But right now, we got to go racing in Nashville. Everything's going too quick.
Yeah.
150 laps of racing, which is like 225 miles or something like that. As the pace car pulls off, and Pedro Mojica and Nelson Rivera going to lead him to the green flag in the second round also of the Bracket Challenge. We'll show you where we're at with that as the green is out for Nashville.
Yeah, excited to see a couple new drivers that have come back into the series to run the limited schedule there. We see Derek Myers in the 39 coming back here tonight. Steve Ritter has been off and on for the season. He's in again tonight. And, you know, we're missing Gerald Livingston. That's a number 96. We haven't seen him in a while. Wondering if he's out there. Jerry, if you're watching, give us a shout. And, yeah, what a racer. Still look like they're in the pace lap as they cross lap number 1.
As Mojica leads Comstock, Gonzalez Rivera's falling back to 4th. Something else we'll talk about here, shifting and braking. You use a lot of brake going into the corner here at this track as you're carrying some pretty good speed down the straightaways. And then, of course, at the same time, you're shifting probably down to 4th gear and so on and so forth. Our camera site presented by TrackCams22.com. You can check them out online on Facebook and in the iRacing forums at TrackCams22.com. As we've got some good side-by-side racing. The first one I see is back here, Brian Macklin, right at the edge of the top 10 as he fights with Bob Gillenwater.
Yeah, Gillenwater, good to see him back in. He was another name that we haven't seen too much of. And
where'd Wesley come from?
yeah, he just popped in there. He's been having that kind of thing going on lately, and not sure what's what, but good news is nobody had any problems with that.
Yeah, that could have definitely been UGLY.
Right on the outside of Gillenwater's right rear quarter panel as he's up above the 29 of Donnie Leah. They're still kind of tussling side by side there for that 10th position. Leah charges down the bottom on that yellow line. You got to take care of your tires here. This place will kill you in the long run if you don't baby those right side tires, especially that right front on the entry. It will grind it off on this surface.
Yeah, you definitely want to let these tires kind of, you want to heat them up, but you also at the same time want to preserve them as much as you can. There's different methods you can do so here. As one car heading for the infield, Joe Hudson, Grassville, if you will, and he's locking him up, trying to slow the car up before he gets back on track. Great job on his part. I saw him look like, I don't know if he just had a little D-Dido moment off turn 4, but I saw the car just turn left and head for the infield. Great job by Joe, who, by the way, had one of the wildest wrecks I've seen last night at Auto Club Speedway.
Yeah, they were talking about that in pre-race with some of the guys on pit road. As Joe just came off, and I think he had to yank the car hard to the left in order to keep it from slapping the right side. And yeah, you're right. He mowed the grass down there in Nashville.
At least he was able to live another day. Maybe that was the point of that whole thing. Back here, the boss man, Joey Jatina, as he's under attack, the 23. And I see a little Adam Petty paint there. A little throwback there from Charles Van Schaik. I like. That rhymed.
Followed Charles last week racing at Darlington in that paint scheme, and it was kind of cool. Drew alongside of him. I'm like, oh. Because I saw the car purple, didn't realize what it was till I got alongside.
So 7 laps in, Mojica, Comstock, Gonzalez, Myers, Rivera, your top 5. Ferrari, Simley, Beasley, Macklin, Donnie Leah last week's, or I should say the winner 2 weeks ago at Gateway. There in the 10th position.
Chad Coleman up 3 spots. So is Mike Kelly from his starting spot. Joey Jatina up 3. Down 4 is Wesley Donaldson. Not sure if that little blink that he had something to do with it. Nelson Rivera dropped a couple positions too. Is everybody trying to find their pace here early on in the going at Nashville? Tell you, Donnie Leah looks like he's got a pretty stout car now as he's side by side with the 10 of Richard Beasley following the 30 of Macklin. They're still tussling for that 8th, 9th, 10th position here as he is charging the corners down in the bottom.
There you see, you heard Beasley downshift to 4th as he runs between the seams there on this concrete surface. Gets a little loose. Good job by Donnie to avoid him. That could have been bad.
These drivers will roll down into the corner. Sometimes they're using the downshift early to slow the car. Other times they've cranked up that brake bias. When you step on the brake, the car will physically yank to the left, and it helps them turn down into the apex where they can pick up the throttle and step back on it. You want to pretend like you're at Darlington with an egg under the throttle, not wrap it, or you'll destroy the tires here. And right now, everything's kind of settled out. Little early conga line going through, but out front, what do we see? He's out front again, Chris.
Yeah, Pedro Mojica, and you see Comstock actually having a good run. David did not make last week's race here, but he's doing a good job. I shouldn't say he would have made the race. I made it sound like he DNQ'd or something. He wasn't at the race to run last week there, but tell you what, we're seeing some pretty tight racing right now. Pedro obviously picking up where he left off last night at Auto Club. He's led all the 11 laps here so far. Jose Gonzalez running in the 3rd position.
This is one of those long run racetracks. I don't believe we're going to see a lot of cautions. In fact, dare I say it, we might even go commercial free. That's not what I meant. Caution free.
Right, I knew what you meant.
And it does lend itself to long green flag runs. Now, they can run quite a few laps, so that's saying something that we get to a green flag pit stop. But I have to say, in the early going, running 4th, how about Derek Myers just shows up as fast as these guys are every week? If he were here every week, I wonder what he could really do in that number 39 Home Depot Ford.
Derek has got raw speed, and that's one thing I've noticed about him. He will get on a track and he'll run. I think the only thing in some of the stuff he's worked on, and I see the improvement already here in some of these races lately, has been his racecraft. And that's something that comes with experience. Now, I don't know how long Derek's been on iRacing. He might have been on here for a while. But he's had to make some adjustments. We saw some times earlier when we were just starting with Captain Esports Network on Sim500, he would make some moves that was kind of questionable at times. And here, I would say especially this season, he has made some fantastic moves. He's gone to victory lane already and has done a great job. And he's doing good here in the 4th position.
Yeah, there's times I'm in the chat channel with him, and I can't say that I know anybody that has, how do I put this delicately, just the passion for racing. Like how he's raced and how he races, he's always leaning forward. He's leaning in. Sometimes it feels like Red Bull rage. He just gets infuriated if something doesn't go his way because he's on kill the whole way. But man, fast. And just every time he shows up, he's a contender. He could potentially win this thing tonight. And just to step into this series and show that kind of speed, raw speed, like you said, I'm always impressed when he comes to town.
Now, I know over on the stream, I'm just kind of looking at things right now, just reviewing, because I know we had the late start. I see some issues with the Facebook page on the Sim500 side. I've looked over at the website, everything's up. But on my end, it's telling me there's like an error message. So if you're watching over on that channel, obviously let me know. Just make sure I looked and everything looks to be okay. But just kind of seeing viewer-wise, it's a low number on our end. But I know that it's not probably counting the viewers over there because of the error message I'm seeing. So, but I will say, if you're out there watching, share it with everybody. Let them know we are live here on the Captain Esports Network for the race broadcast. You see young Judah, I about called him Jonah, young Judah over there on the right-hand side. As I said that we would keep that photo up throughout the Cup Series season for that young man. I do not see the faster pastor in the race tonight. I'm looking through the standings here real quickly because he can easily be missed. Yes, I do not see him. So, unfortunately,
tonight,
no Stoney, it looks like tonight, unfortunately. But still, no matter what, thinking about young Judah there and hoping for the best for that family. So, but 18 laps in already in a clean start here so far.
Yeah, I think these guys are going to rip off the laps. And you're going back to the comparisons of Chicago, Kansas, Darlington even. This is the type of racetrack where you race the racetrack. You're looking at the car in front of you and you're chasing it like a rabbit. But every corner, you try and hit that perfect turn in. You try and get to the apex the right way. You try to pick up the throttle. You let the car sweep all the way out to the corner. You're hammered down the backstretch. Maybe you try to sneak a little bit further down the backstretch before you ease off and step in and squeeze that brake pedal. And you're just looking for every inch of advantage. And you gauge, you know this story, Chris. your distance between you and the car in front of you. Did I gain that lap? Did I lose that lap? What's happening with the leader? Sometimes they call out lap times and you're looking at your time compared to everybody else, and really it's just race the racetrack and go as fast as you can every single lap. That's the only way to move ahead here.
Ooh, Yoakum getting up into the side of Casey Duncan here, and I was, you might have heard me chuckle there for a second while Kevin was talking. That's because they were 3 wide down the backstretch back here for 28th. 2811 cars and a Surf Pro car in the sandwich, and these guys are racing hard back here for position. Randy sliding up again. KC doing a good job, giving plenty of room, but I'm sure he's not going to be too happy about that maneuver. But both cars keeping it clean right now. Just kind of caught that they were battling back here at 28th, and a battle here for second. Gonzalez inside of Comstock.
I don't think those two are done yet, and I was thinking, we were talking to KC before we start. He comes out of Seattle, Washington, and he was saying that he races with VR. There's not a lot of drivers that do choose that, but he's one of them. And I can imagine just holding onto the wheel and looking over to the left and seeing Randy to your left side and just watching him come up across the groove out of that left side window. That's got to be an experience.
Now, for those who don't know, I've actually raced with 4X, which is the team that Casey and Jason Branch, and I'm not sure who else is here tonight and maybe a part of that team. I've raced on that team before. So Casey and I have had nice conversations about VR, and I've shared on here plenty of times. I won't get into the whole spiel again of how I feel about that. But, yeah, he and I have had that talk about that with our opinions. And I respect what he does, and I respect everybody who does that. Oh, sorry, cut back here to Josh Parker, Scott Stenzel, and the spree paint scheme, if you will, of Charles Van Schaik as a cloud comes over the track. Hey, you get off my cloud. Oh, into the wall goes Charles, and I think Parker got a piece of it.
I think Parker went up and Charles followed him in. You ever do that where you're following the car in front of you and they go up and slap it, you chase them right in the hole?
I did it Wednesday.
Yeah, it's so common to do because you, like I said, you're fixated on the car in front of you and they run in, you follow them right in the sucker hole there.
Struggle bus for Doy Woods, unfortunately. That bus is going backwards. The Haviland Mustang has lost 7, make that 8 positions almost here to the 26th position. That Mustang not looking too sporty right now. Doug Roth's gone by. Tommy Ryan, who's also struggling after a top 5 finish last night at Auto Club. Those guys
We might see some comers and goers though, Chris, with drivers that are trying to manage their tires, because how many laps can you go? It's like 67, 75.
Very true, but very tough to pass here.
It is, but then all of a sudden the car lights up and you go to the car in front of you, and next thing you know, you start picking them up and setting them down. So, it all depends on how you pace yourself. If you run easy in the beginning, then you pick it up in the middle stretch. When drivers start to pit, you can make a lot of hay in those long runs.
Want to bring this up, so let's look at it like this too. Nashville, and I'm trying to think through the tracks really quickly in my head. I mean, Dover's another one, which is almost a sister track of this one to a point. I don't know if there's a track where you slow down, or let's more word it like this: the rubber band effect of the RPMs and the speed at this track might be the biggest difference from top speed to slow down speed. And the reason why I bring it up is Donnie Leah goes to the inside here. Scott Simler, let's go on board here. Let's jump up here to Pedro Mohican. Let's go on board. And I want to throw up the old speedometer here. I don't get to show this much, but let's see. He's down to 131 miles an hour, if not 129, I think I just saw there. As he comes out of the corner. Now, this is actually the shorter straightaway here. He's going to shift up to 5th, maybe. He might stay in 4th. Look at 170, down to turn 3 and 4. He's going to slow back down to about 130. And then right here, I'm expecting close to probably 175 mile an hour down to turn 1. So you're looking at a good 45 mile an hour bandwidth of speed into a corner, which might be the widest margin you get in all of iRacing when it comes to stock cars on a track.
Yeah, it always fascinates me how late they turn in. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, you come down the straightaway. Maybe the front stretch is not a good example because it's not much of a straightaway, but
Well, you still
like
got arc.
Atlanta or some of those places, you sweep right up to the fence, and then you pick your point where you start to turn in. At certain tracks, you turn in a little early so that you can hold the car down to get to the apex, and others, you go really late and turn it in, and you arc the corner a little bit more to get down to the apex. And in this racetrack, I see differences. Some drivers turn in flat, meaning they shorten the turn in, like Donnie Lee was doing earlier, and then other drivers will turn in the absolute last moment. And one of the challenges you have with that, Chris, is if you turn in late and you miss it, you're going to miss that apex. The car will not cut and come down to the bottom, and you'll push all the way through the corner, and it kills you. That's where the drivers like, say, Doy Woods, who might be conservative, would pick you up and come beat you later in the run.
And I think a good way to add to what you're saying there, Michigan comes to my head a little bit. I think Auto Club's a good example where you got to approach think of it like a road course, I guess, so to say. You know how you go into a hairpin corner, as Derek Myers inside of David Comstock going to take the third position away. So Comstock's starting to fall off a little bit here. He's got Nelson Rivera there at his mirror. Those kind of tracks where you get on a road course and you get a hairpin turn and you got to kind of angle your Macklin with a dive in there on Rivera. You got to hit the apex, like you said. So you're going in late, you're turning down, and you want the car to be at the bottom of the track at the middle. That's basically what it is. And that's kind of how you see this, but it's so easier said than done. I've always been notorious for being a shallow driver when it comes to the corners. So what happens when you go shallow? You're tied off.
Yeah, the car won't turn because you've been holding it down, squeezing the juice out of the tires all the way through the apex of the corner, and it just won't exit properly.
Richmond's another one. Turn 1 at Richmond.
Darlington, and entry to turn 3. You could choose to sweep down low and let the car float up, or you could turn in late and run that top groove like a fighter jet, but you run the risk that if you miss it, you're going to go up and slap the wall. I watched Donnie Lee run the bottom, and I would have thought that would not have worked with him on the long run, but well, he's proven me wrong, and that's why he's as good as he is. He just slid underneath the 12 of Simley and is following the 30 of Brian Macklin as they hunt down David Comstock. You know, one of the things we didn't talk about, as Pedro's gone,
He gone.
Jose's gone, these type of tracks where you have to be perfect every lap to find speed, those two drivers are the ones that I always look at, but here comes Macklin to the bottom of David Comstock. There's a bit of gas savings and drift. Well, let's just watch and see what happens.
So I say there is no personal comfort of being 3 wide.
Process this 3 wide, as you said, and Comstock's going to slip back between the two.
Yeah, that could have been real bad, but good job. Great clean racing by everybody there. Of course, it reminds us last night we had that 3 wide battle. What was it, for a couple of laps on a restart? That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I ran here last night in NIS. That's why I didn't come out. And I tell you, I had just a blast racing this racetrack. I got crashed, not my fault. Late in the race, it drove back to 10th. And I feel what these guys are doing because I could see the way they're just trying to execute their corners. David Comstock, I was going to say, maybe tucked behind, I thought, for fuel savings. You know, if you have somebody pushing you down the track and you're distracted on your entry because you're wondering whether they're going to cut underneath you and whatever, sometimes it's just easier. Good, let them go. I'll follow on your tire track, see what they're doing. And then as they fall off later because they blew past me, I'll go get them later. And Comstock, if anybody personifies running back up into the top 5 late in a run, he's the kind of guy that could do that all day long.
So let's talk a little bit about this bracket challenge that is going on. Already, it all took 1 race to pretty much blow up everybody's brackets. There's no perfect brackets. So the $100 cash prize, I don't know if they're changing anything up to that or if the $100 just gets carried to whoever was going to donate it or whatever. But let's show real quickly where everybody stands after 1 race. Now, the titles up top, Obviously, Chicagoland was going to be tonight, but Joey moved Nashville up a week, and Chicago is out right now. So, but Montesi versus Mojica tonight. Macklin versus Jimmy Coleman. Is Jimmy even racing tonight? Kevin Stone versus Jose Gonzalez. Beasley and Calantoni. Chad Coleman versus Kevin DeBrown. That ought to be a good matchup there in the team name area. And then the other three down here at the bottom. Jeff Ryan with the win over Bentley Glazier. You can call that an upset if you'd like. Versus Scott Simley. David Comstock in the battle of the no one showed up in that matchup versus Eric Arnold and Charles Van Schaik. Tyler Dalton and Joe Hudson with the upset over Josh Parker last week. So that's your round of 12, I believe it is.
He was saying on the outset that we're missing a couple drivers tonight. Tyler Dalton, he didn't sign in here tonight, and I guess just as summer comes through, some of these drivers need a bit of a break or have something going on.
Well, I know Dalton's
And
got
we're missing Jerry Livingston. Haven't seen him in weeks, and they had all his wildfires and such up there in Canada, and we're just hoping he's doing okay. If he hears this broadcast, if he catches it, give us a shout. Tell us you're good to go, my friend.
And then Tyler Dalton, he's been having some issues, and hopefully he's feeling better here today, and hopefully we'll see him back. And one person that's probably not feeling good right now is Charles Van Schaik. He is lost connection, I think, or something. He is lost on lap 35, and unfortunately has not come back. I'm not sure if it's a well, obviously it's a connection issue, but not sure what's caused it, so to say. Back here to the 18th position, Joey Jettina, Richard Beasley coming off a great run last week at the, actually, you know what? Yeah, I'm thinking of Gateway, the truck race that we had Wednesday night. Beasley had a great run, almost won the thing.
Yeah, pretty close.
Tommy Ryan right there, and then Doy Woods. Yeah, maybe there's something to that comers and goers, because Doy now has worked his way back to 21st here at lap 43.
Hey, we talked about conveyor belt. There's cars just like yesterday's race all over the racetrack. We have cars, leaders coming across the line right now, and there's cars all through turn 1, 2, down the backstretch, 3, 4, and the most of the field is chasing the 58 as they come across the stripe. Right out the front windshield of the leader, number 58 of Pedro Mojica, is the 74. The patriotic scheme he's got this weekend. Brian Wortman looking at trying to hustle a little bit so he doesn't go a lap down here.
Yeah, Wortman catching the 71 of Casey Duncan here. As if anybody's got fresher tires than Brian Wortman, I'd like to know who you are at this moment in the race. Now, Donnie Lee has moved up to third. He got past Eric Myers just a minute ago. You see Macklin there in fifth. David Comstock, Simley Rivera. Chad Coleman's up to ninth now. And Robert Friery there in the 10th position. Let's step away real quickly here before we get the green flag pit stops. And let's hear a word from our sponsors, 811. Of course, you're watching Sim500 here on the Captain Esports Network.
If recent storms have caused damage to your property, contact 811 before you begin your cleanup. Buried utilities around uprooted trees can make a bad situation worse if those lines are not located before digging. Electric, natural gas, and internet lines are everywhere. And knowing where they are is the safest way to start any digging project. Call North Carolina 811 by dialing 811 or by using single address ticket on NC811.org or the NC811 app.
All right, back we are here at lap number 47. And you see Brian Wortman coming to pit road. Not sure if this is a scheduled pit stop or not. Maybe a two-stop race for him, splitting the tires like that. So wouldn't be surprised there. Wortman knew maybe he was about to.
Tires. He's got a couple sets to sell after.
Not Wortman, no.
Somehow he's got like this virtual thing going on. Never takes tires, so.
Well, Wortman, well, you know what it is. It's kind of, he's simulating what it's like to be a low-budget team, is what it is. You know, and that's part of Brian's worked with, like, drivers like Mike Harmon, Morgan Shepherd.
Right.
And those teams back in the, you know, when the nationwide Xfinity days You know, he even crew chiefed a few races for Jeff Green when he was starting in parking and stuff like that. So that's kind of the mindset Brian races with. Nothing wrong with that, and it's his right to sim race however he likes. I mean, it's like me when I do different sim games or whatever. When it comes to like basketball or whatever, I like to try to do real life stuff. So, and that's just my prerogative. Everybody's got their own prerogative of how they do things, I guess would be the right way to word it, you know?
He's a heck of a sim racer.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, when he decides he's going to lean into it, he can run with some of the best of them. And he's one of those drivers that I've observed has great long run speed. He could take care of his equipment better than anybody I know. And in that context, even with worn tires, sometimes I see him marching through the field when we get races like this that have a long green flag run, as Pedro has caught a couple of those drivers up front, and now he's starting to mix it up with, you know, some of the cars that are in the back. I saw
Don't do that, Doug.
Doug Sigmund maybe do a little tank slapper there.
Don't do that, Doug. At 1.6 seconds to Gonzalez. Like, one thing I'll bring up here, let's, Macklin, by the way, or Macklin, sorry, Wertman. Getting Brian's mixed up here. Brian's been a sim racer for over 30 years. He's one of the few that I could say that has been either playing the console games or sim racing longer than I have. And that takes a lot, because, I mean, I remember being 5 and I was playing Bell 8 NASCAR as a 5-year-old. So I remember like playing those kind of games, and Andretti and Kyle Petty, and all the way up to when Papyrus released the first NASCAR on PlayStation. Of course, they had the computer versions come out too, but I remember all those. So we do have some pit stops though. Josh Parker, Kevin Stone, Steve Ritter, Glenn Campbell, all on pit road here at lap 52. So I think we are going to see some two-stoppers.
I think so. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Some of these drivers, they want to drive and charge the corners. They need the tires in order to do that. I'm looking at a couple of these drivers and trying to figure out what's going on here tonight. As Pedro comes down the backstretch, where is Kevin DeBrown coming to pit road? But I mean, he was running way in the back there. So is Mike Kelly, who's on pit road right now. So what's the story with a couple of these guys who typically run somewhere
Kevin
and
O'Shea's
charge
pit
up
stall
into the top 10, and they're not there?
Yeah, Kevin's been struggling a little bit here lately. We mentioned that last week. He actually turned out to have a pretty decent run in last week's race. But yeah, he's been struggling here tonight. Kelly, it might be just a feel thing right now. It might simply be a track position game. Could be anything. I mean, obviously, it could be. There's so many factors that could be telling. I mean, how much
track is not suitable, right? Have you ever been to a place where you're like, fill this place with water?
That used to be Homestead for me for a little bit on here, but I've gotten to liking that track a lot now. Any road course, I guess. Outside of any road course in a stock car, if I have to drive a GT car or something, it's a blast. The other cars, not so much, or an open wheel car. But to add what you're saying there, so it could be a feel thing, but it could be also a how much does this person run this track during the week? I mean, if somebody's schedule has changed throughout the week, you know, Kevin or here come the leaders to pit road, Pedro Mojica, Donnie Leo. By the way, this pit road is not easy to get on.
As Cal and Tony will tell you, he spun out coming in, tried to get down, got into the grass. The car did a wobble, and he eventually turned it around backwards and had to grab a gear. So you're right, getting into pit road here is really tough. Now his service is done. He's down and away.
4 tires and fuel, Pedro Mojica. So guys definitely using the tires instead of, which this actually opens my question up. Can anybody get to halfway here?
I'm telling you who's going to go to halfway is Jose.
Halfway Jose.
Halfway Jose. If anybody's going to be able to stretch this out, it's going to be Jose.
And you see, you got to use the warm-up lane all the way around here to turn 2. You do not have to use it coming in off turn 4. As Pedro,
there's an interesting, and I wondered if anybody knows, there's 2 entrants into that warm-up lane. There's one to the left that's like a little shortcut, and then there's the big sweeping one. And I was always curious as to whether the sweeping one you could carry more speed, or the shorter one gets you to the point of the center of the corner on that entry road faster.
I'm going to lead you to... Oh!
Who was that?
Ferrari got in the back of Sibley there. I don't know if... what that was about there. If that was just somebody rolled to the throttle, maybe fresher tires. I mean, Ferrari, let's see if he's been on pit road. No, he hasn't. Neither of them have. So I don't know if Robert just... Here comes Pedro, by the way. There's the fresh tires for you.
Yeah. So this is the tricky part of the race. You really need to be careful here when you're on worn tires. And you can go up and slip, like we said, going in. I just saw Jeff Ryan, for example, up there in the marbles in no man's land, slide that car all the way to turn 2, and just before he made contact to the wall, he was able to gather it up.
A great save on his part here is, I think now we're at that point where if you haven't pitted to make it a 2-stop race, you're staying out to make this a 1-stop race. So we've got about 13 cars that are going to try to make this a 1-stopper. I don't know if you could really go on an island right now.
Yeah, just a momentary comment. You want to know what's below? I am. A raging storm.
Nice.
Blowing over top of us, and the lightning is shaking the house. My man cave's in the basement, and I have to say, if I disappear, I'm okay, but who knows what's going on. I came home today, Chris, to my computer being turned off as Macklin
locks
a little grass and locks him up.
I think I hear the rain. I hear the ambience in the background. I wasn't hearing the thunder, but I think I can hear the rain.
Yeah, it's bucketing outside.
It is raining Chevys and Fords as Macklin overshoots his pit stall, and caution is now out.
Oh,
Tommy Ryan has crashed.
Yeah, he's sitting backwards. I wonder if he came off a pit road wrong?
I'm looking for Tommy's name here.
Oh, no, he had some contact with the 04. Got together with him.
Oh, this just flipped up. Don't, easy, Tommy. And that just flipped this race on its head. Much like Joe Hudson last night.
Oh, how about that?
Well, while Tommy figures out the city of Nashville here, he tries to turn around. Let's go see what transpired here. You mentioned contact with the 04, who had fresher tires, it looks like.
I think he did the same thing Jeff Ryan did. Got up into the marbles, and then just as he picked up the throttle coming off the corner, it broke loose, and he swung back left.
You know, did Tommy know that Doug was up there?
If you look at the 04, right at the last exit of the corner, the car swings a little left, comes down, and catches the door. I think Doug was just up there in the marbles, and when he picked up the throttle, the car stepped out on him. And unfortunately, if the right rear hooks up, it's going to swing left, and it went down and caught the door.
Either way, the caution is out here for the first time, and we got the leaders who have not pitted on pit road here, led by Derek Myers, who's going to lead this race. Now, interesting. Guess who had just come to pit road when that caution came out?
And served a penalty somehow in there. It's Jose Gonzalez, yes? Hearing on the radio that Gonzalez possibly got a penalty.
Oh, did he hit? Oh, you know what? Let's go back and look here. I wonder. Where's Jose?
Good hands by the 44 of Glenn Campbell on that incident on the backstretch. And
oh, Jose's coming into pit road as the caution comes out.
Right, and he probably entered a closed pit, yes?
Well, I don't see any lights over there, so yeah, I guess so.
Scott Senzel went in the grass on the backstretch. That's what I did yesterday, to avoid the 04 car.
I mean, I didn't see. Let me go to the pit entrance here, see if we got a camera set up down there.
Sorry, we're a bit bipolar, but holy cow, there was a bunch of stuff going on all over the place. Scott Senzel slid sideways through the grass, got the car collected, got back to the entry road, and then the car broke loose and he slid back up into the racetrack.
Yes, I don't see a pit road entry lights. I have no clue if the pit road was closed, but they were wrecking, so it had to have been at that moment. Now, Pedro Mojica's been on pit road, or is on pit road now. So that tells me that Pedro must have gotten the lucky dog. And for Pedro, he took fuel only here, so just top off. So he's going to have a disadvantage tire-wise right now. But we'll be able to be on the cycle fuel-wise here. So he's going to need this race to stay green, I think, for a little bit.
Yeah, and I believe the admins can correct that situation. Yellow came out as he was crossing the line. In the true world, they would look at that and say, that's circumstantial, and clear that off.
Well, they could clear that, but I think iRacing sometimes will, no matter what, put you in the back with an EOL.
Yeah.
So,
Well, unfortunately, with him being on pit road and everybody collecting the pace car, he was going to be back anyway. So
that's fair.
at least he's not a lap down. That's the key to it. It's never a happy thing to have happen, but
All right.
Well, now
As we
everybody should have new tires. They had the opportunity and they had plenty of sets to do that.
And a lot of wave rounds. So don't be surprised if we get an extended caution here. I mean, Donnie, Leah, Chad Coleman, Donaldson, Gillenwater. I mean, everyone is getting a wave around right now.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 16, 17. I count 18 cars, maybe.
From Donnie Leah to Casey Duncan, pretty much everybody just took the wave around.
The 29's in there, the 91 there. There's some stout cars here. Now, they had all probably just pitted, right? And in
Yeah.
that context, at least they have reasonable set of tires, maybe a lap or two.
I'm looking. The pace car lights are still off, so we're not yet gotten the extension here. Derek Meyer's going to
Did
take
they wave it off?
I still see the lights off. Here we go. Pace car pulls in. We're going racing.
No.
So Myers on the top side, going to be the leader. Nelson Rivera, Robert Friery, Scott Simley, Joe Hudson. He was last earlier. Is fifth.
Strange formation you see, right? Have to call this out. All those drivers who got the wave around have to stay single file.
Yeah.
So some of those drivers out in the back, they are far back. They're coming out of turn 4 right now while the field's heading into 2.
Yeah, it looks like mostly all but 3 cars made it back for the start. As quickly Myers to the front here in the battle for third. The 77 and the 12 here.
This is where I go, oh boy.
We know how this goes.
This was helpful. A bunch of drivers were right on the cusp of getting lapped, and this kind of resets things. It's almost like a stage break.
We don't do this around here.
But Pedro's running 10th. So in the exchange, this did swap the complexion of the race.
Yeah, so basically anybody 10th on back from Pedro to Donnie Lee. Oh, trouble, Pedro! And
Oh,
Casey
no.
Duncan! The
was just
points.
gonna say
Oh, and he just
Casey-
got clobbered by
Oh.
Doy Woods. The points leader.
Yeah, Duncan's in that mix trying to get a lap back, trying to be in a lucky dog position.
Now, for all the
just
incident,
spread up
I
a
do
little.
not see damage on the 58 much at all.
Joey Jattina went through the grass. What's strange is Pedro drove out of that and was perfectly suitable, and then
Here comes Doy
right
Woods.
across the start-finish line, here comes Woods to come out. It almost looked like Cole Trickle coming out. Change my tires! The way he came across the track at him.
See what happens. Oh, they just come together off the corner and hook.
But Pedro, not a lot of damage, right? Because he's holding against the wall, the car straight, and then he's cruising along, and next thing you know, we'll have to go in with
Yeah,
Doy
well,
and
yeah.
watch it come across.
And Doy clobbered the outside wall. That nose is...
Car's killed.
All right, let's, you mentioned Doy Woods here. Let's go on board. Doy gets kind of pushed up the track there. There's the spin.
Everything happens, gets on the binders, comes down, goes down to take evasive action, gets in the grass, and plunk.
Misses KC, but catches Pedro.
Catches Pedro. Pedro lessened the blow, but took a pretty good shot. Pedro continued on, though. I know he's got a lot of damage. I'm sure the right front is killed on the 28.
On board with Pedro now.
So the Texaco Star, he must have been wondering what's going on, right? You get in this, you drive away. Okay, I'm clear. I just need to get going. Next thing you know,
Oh,
oh, what the heck is that? You right?
Doy Woods. If we're gonna quote Days of Thunder here, Doy Woods' first words before he hit the wall, or his words before the wall, were, "Oh, this is gonna hurt."
Oh, this is gonna hurt. Yeah. Pedro going down to get some damage fixed, which is going to put him even deeper into the field. A couple drivers in for service. See Doug Roth and the number 43 Allegiant Camaro changing tires. So this is a benefit, Chris, to all those drivers who did the wave around, and we're hoping for a quick caution.
Not
right?
named Pedro.
Not named Pedro. But I mean, maybe Doug Roth was in need of tires. Caution came out, got the wave around, quick caution. Mike Kelly was in, getting service in the number 2. He took 4 tires and fuel 2, so.
Yeah, I would think
Race-
that a lot of these guys
Joe.
probably going to save tires here a little bit. Here, I noticed you're cutting out a little bit there, but weather in the area over
Weather. That's what I said. Holy cow, it sounded like the garage was coming down.
30 minutes. Kevin's got to sit down now because of lightning. Oh man, so a while.
Pedro pulling out, so maybe the damage wasn't so bad, or is he going into his stall?
I think he's going back to his stall
Going
now. It
into
says
his
he's going
stall.
in.
Yeah,
So
so
yeah,
he's
serious.
gonna be- You have a lot of time to fix the car here.
Wild race here so far in its first half. Been some great green flag racing to start with. Then we had that first caution right in the middle of green flag pit stops, and then we had the caution just now. Casey Duncan and Mahika getting together, and then Doy Woods, unfortunately, trying to avoid KC, got the grass and met Pedro. And the good news here for Pedro is all you got to do is get across that line as he clears pit road now. And we'll get one to go this time by. So this opens the door for some people here. Chad Coleman, who had fallen a pretty good amount back. As a matter of fact, as I pop up the point standings right now, as you see, it was a 82-point distant between Pedro and Coleman first to second. That number can come down a little bit now after that accident, so we'll see how much damage Pedro has. Of course, the main thing is how much engine damage does he have, if any.
I wonder if we're going to get a first-time winner tonight. We see a couple guys like Comstock in there that's got a win, but we've got a whole host of drivers who are looking for their first win of the season up there in the top echelon of this field tonight. I would like to see us, no offense against Pedro, but his troubles might open that opportunity because he's just whooped these guys so much all year long.
Yeah, I mean, look at our top 10 right now. You got Joe Hudson there in 6th. We got Randy Yoakum in the 8th position right now. As we come back to the green flag here, lap number 72, Myers into the restart zone launches. Hudson with a good start. Topside here, going to try to take Friary 3 wide, but instead it's Gonzalez, as Hudson, I think, had to get out of it, who drops to the bottom and makes a move.
It almost is like we're on kill right now. That's what it feels like. We're working lap 73 of 150, so we've got the second half of the race to go. They kind of need to settle down because this could go green for a long window if they get... You know how this is? It's kind of like one of those restrictor plate races in the beginning where everybody's on top of each other, but then it races like an intermediate if you get about 8 to 10 laps in and everybody kind of settles down.
Oh, and around goes somebody towards the back. I was about to call 3 wide. Mike Kelly's gone spinning into the infield. And we're going to stay green, I think, as he's on his own. But we're 3 wide back here. Donnie Leah gets around Yoakum and, boy, Randy Yoakum wrecked it. And Wesley Donaldson got out of the gas. And Joe Hudson was that other car, by the way.
Mike Kelly was able to grab a gear. Got one slow on the front stretch here. Casey Duncan running really slow in the 71. See if we can trace back to what his problems were. He's had a
motor maybe or something.
Night. Banged the wall coming off of turn number 4. Maybe he broke a right front wheel and is just trying to limp the thing home.
That's a possibility with the way you hit that wall.
Ah, he got in the back of Pedro. I think Pedro was slowing down to possibly go to pit road.
Well, them two just connected to each other tonight, huh? As Pedro does come back to pit road, so he must have had more issues than he thought here. Let's see.
He got wrapped pretty hard in the back of the car by the 71, but I don't know. Watch here as he comes through the corner, and the 71 plugged him, and I think he was trying to go to pit road. Right here, he starts to pull down.
Ouch.
And bang. It doesn't show there, but there's the contact with the 71 to the outside wall.
And now Casey's on pit road.
Pedro is nursing a hammered car, so good night, Gracie.
I don't know who Gracie is, but good night.
I think that's, wow, I'm going to show my age. Gracie? When I was a kid. Back in the Stone Age.
Back when the Three Stooges were popular.
Yeah. Okay, so let's look and see where some of these folks are. Count Tony running back there in 22nd. That back in that group, holy cow! What a horn!
Oh, trouble! Kevin Brown is in the grass with Randy Yoakum up into the wall. Joey Jatina gets clobbered.
Wow, Joey's car is killed. That's what I said. That group back there was racing like they were coming down for the lead.
Well, you called it. I went back to it, and they were in the grass.
Yeah, the 3 of them. I think that had something to do with Steve Ritter just lost the car coming up off the corner. And unfortunately, they were hammered down right behind him. And everybody slid across the racetrack, and there really wasn't much to do there. What a job by Doug Roth to save that car. You'll have to go watch his Joey Chitwood impression of 360 on the front straightaway there.
Now, if Kevin was running at Daytona or Talladega right now, we're watching Kevin DeBrown, his car would be good. Not here. You can't have the left side in the wind. That thing is tracking the wrong way. But, yeah, let's see the replay of how this all transpired, as you said. I mean, we cut to it as Kevin was in the grass with Yoakum.
If you watch Ritter, the car broke free under throttle coming up.
Let's watch the Ritter.
The Ritter. Yeah, Steve in the 16.
Oh, yeah, there's a bobble.
PT Ford.
Yep.
Just bobbled a little bit, and unfortunately, what you have to pick up here is watch the 43 after it gets snagged there.
I have to go back to him.
The speed at which he did the loop-de-loop there was astonishing. I was surprised his dentures didn't fall out if he had.
Oh, wow.
Nosed it in and picked it up and gathered, and off he went.
That almost looked netcode-ish, the way you got hit there.
It was cool. You have to ride in behind the car as he does it. It's just like a tilt-a-whirl.
Leaders are on pit road here. And Derek Meyer's going to win the race off pit road. We do got some cars that have stayed out.
Just saw Ritter plug the 8 car going here to pit road. I don't know if his car is damaged and he couldn't get stopped, but he backed in, ran into the back of Randy Yoakum.
Could there be something? I mean, they did just wreck with each other. Let's see this all again.
Yeah, I think he was just trying to catch the field and misjudged how quickly he was coming upon him. Yeah, no place for Joey to go.
And you mentioned on pit road, let's just rewind it manually here.
Just as they were entering the pit on the backstretch going into turn 3, I think Steve was trying to catch the field. You'd had such a good run all night long. It only takes one little blip. There it is. So he's coming down here trying to catch the back of the field and runs up a little too fast, locks up the brakes, and hey, how you doing?
Yeah, I don't know if there was anything to that.
No, I don't think so. It's just a misjudge there. I don't. But he did plug him harder than it looked there.
So interesting strategy here. That's a Scalanism. Anthony Calantoni, he's going to lead this race after cutting the grass a little bit. The Talking Giants, number 84, and behind him is going to be the number 2 of Mike Kelly in the 811 car. That
Who
went
was
through
off
the
the
grass.
grass a moment ago.
You're getting the trend here.
I still say, look at that 26.
Yeah.
I really feel like he's feeling like this world owes him one. After the last couple of weeks, it's just been months. Has been just terrible for Jose. And the type of racetrack, if he can get out into clean air and drive away from guys, he might set sail and sayonara.
So 68 laps to go as we're going to want to go this time by.
Couple drivers popping in right there at the end. I see Glenn on pit road right now. The 93 went in and topped off. The 8 was in. The 43.
Is this a theory of maybe going the rest of the way on fuel?
I think all these drivers that we're talking about, I don't know about Campbell and the 44, they had some damage to fix, which is, now we have to think about all this. A quarter, third, maybe even up to half the field has had some contact here in the last stretch of cautions. And so some of these cars are not going to be up to speed, which lends to the complexion that the cars that are good and have decent tires might be able to break away and run away with this thing.
And it looks like Jose Gonzalez and Joe Hudson went fuel only on this stop. Yeah.
We don't want to jinx them.
Well, I'm just saying for the sake of just reporting here. Looks like they took fuel only. And then Derek Myers on back took tires here. So we got a little strategy up front here. Wheel spin could be a factor. Let's be careful as we come to the green here at lap 83. Which, if I do the math correctly, that would be 65 laps to go. And Myers drops it to the bottom. So I say that's a bad... Oh, and Nelson gets into the back of Hudson. 3 wide off turn 2. This could get ugly.
Well, they are 3 wide, trying to scramble to find space over there on the entry to turn number 3. Let's see how that works out. Kind of squared things away.
Yikes! Oh, they almost wrecked back there where Montesi is.
Boy, what a charge Macklin and Parker had driving into the corner there.
Oh, somebody's wrecking in turn 1. I heard the sliding. And Mike Montesi, Jeff Ryan in the wall. Wesley Donaldson maybe got a piece of it. It is never good when you hear skid marks on the camera.
Yeah.
4th
I
caution.
have to wonder if they didn't know they were 3 wide there. The 3 was moving down to stay off of the 91, 96 down underneath them. And all 3 of them went.
Yeah, see, that's the one thing about this is, oh, okay, so this is one of those deals where, oh, Kevin Stone just kind of wrecks himself. So this is one of those things, okay, you got to remember, turn 1 is kind of a sharp turn because these straightaways are a lot longer than the corners are. It's one of those where we got long straightaways, tight corners. So because of that, it's a very different angle going into turn 1. So Montesi, I'm thinking here, is actually trying to get himself a good angle into the corner because he realizes he's going to be very shallow here. So he moves up, and Jeff was there.
Yeah, I think he probably, typically the car outside of you when you run up off the center of the middle of the straightaway moves up. He's probably confused as to why the 3 didn't swing up so that he could turn down into the corner.
Because there's a car above him.
Right. But I think he could have come a little bit higher.
Maybe, but I mean that comes down to there's so many factors there. VR to multiple screens to one screen to, again, remember, spotters on iRacing don't tell you, hey, this guy's on your door, or hey, you got a half lane up, or hey, you got, you know what I mean? We've had kind of a conversation like this before. This is one of those where Jeff Ryan just knows he's in the middle of 3 wide.
Right.
I mean, yeah, some people have the technology or whatever in their computers to be able to look over there and say, hey, I got a half a lane or whatnot, but Jeff, obviously we don't know. So I think that just unfortunately.
Yeah, I think in a real world scenario, they probably would have rubbed fenders, but as soon as they came together, because they were both basically heading straight, and the 6 and the 3 came together, and as soon as they came together, it pulled the 6 back to the right across both of them. In the real world, they probably would have seen some smoke off the left front of the 3, and they would have cleared each other, but here,
not so much. Now, in fairness, I will agree with you that, yes, Jeff did have some room to come up, about probably half a car, if not maybe 3/4 of a car.
This goes back to that conversation we had a couple races ago about situational awareness.
Yes.
You know the spatial relationship between your car and the outside fence. Maybe you do or don't know there's a car up there, but you would assume going in that the driver above you would want to move up to optimize the entry in the corner. And when you make that assumption and they don't move up, then you come in and come close together with them, and the net result is all 3 of you go to the fence.
Let me throw something else with this here. I'm going to hit stop here for a second. You're 3 wide at this point. You could easily say one of these 3 cars could have backed out of it too.
Yes, right. Well, the 91 probably never saw this coming.
No,
he 3 in the.
I mean, yeah, he's turning in and gets clobbered in the door.
I feel for Kevin Stone. I know that moment.
He's got good front brakes.
In the corner, and you're watching what's going on in front of you, and you missed your entry, like we were talking about. You're up in the high groove, and you now have to put the brake on and maybe try and downshift, and you have that moment. You're sliding to the wall, right? You've been there.
Like Zoink Scoob, we're going for the wall.
Oh, that wasn't. It was just a glancing blow. It'll buff out. But I absolutely feel that clench moment when you're heading towards a wall and you see the guys in front of you. Please keep sliding.
Well, that's one of those I always used to say when you'd get a fender damage like that, you just go get the plunger out of the bathroom and you just literally stick it to the fender and pop it out real quick. That wasn't a good one at all, but yeah, one of those kind of things. All right, 88 laps complete, and what is kind of gone wild here with all the different strategies.
Who knew? I thought for sure we were going to run this type of event where we were going to talk about race strategy and all that, but this has flipped it on its head.
No, you know what? I just thought about this. The race is not the only thing that's been flipped on its head. Let's pull up the bracket. We are now looking at a situation here where Randy Yoakum obviously is out, but Mike Montesi is sitting 19th right now. Mojica's off the track, or Mojica, is he on the track? Yeah, Mojica's still on track, but is in the 26th position. So this could be an upset potentially coming out of this bracket.
Oh, thank you for that, because I had Mojica all the way to the end.
Oh.
You just killed my bracket.
Sim500 madness. I hope I'm getting for that, because you can't say the March. You can't say that technically. It's copyrighted.
It's public service, people.
That's like, I don't know if Derek and the Myers. That was not a okay. I just complimented Myers on his racing craft earlier. Yeah, got a little aggressive there.
I think the 2 actually stepped out.
No. We'll show the replay in a second. He I mean, I'm not, trust me, what Derek did was, it's racing and that kind of thing, but Kelly's not going to like that move.
I think they're going to look at that and see that the 39 made an honest effort. slow it
Oh,
down.
he tried to get out of it. I think it was just a little too late, though. As Wortman returns from his trip to the Grand Ole Opry, I think.
Wow, this has been fun. This has been quite interesting.
Quite Nashville-ish.
Just like yesterday, right? You never know how the race is going to end up. You thought it would be pedestrian and they would ride around in circles. And
All right, here's
lo
the
and
restart.
behold,
Watch as Myers gets this run here, and Kelly is clear of Calantoni here.
and Calantoni, he's
Myers gets, well, you know what? I'm not going to say anything wrong there because you know what? Kelly kind of went in there and he tried to shut the door on Myers, and Myers had the
Yeah.
right to say, hey, excuse me.
I'm coming. Again, we have to. There's physics in play here.
Oh, and Rivera and Miles getting there. Myers. Oh, Steven's watching right now. He's
There's
going
a
to
bit
call
of a
me out for that
side
one.
draft there,
Yeah.
trying to pull him back. So if you pull the car alongside the car next to you, and the air comes up off the nose and hits the spoiler of the car to your right or left, then the spoiler slows the car down and you're able to push off and drive away. Boy, these guys, this is going to the fence here in a moment. Wow, look at that
They
Tony
saved
Leah.
it.
Woo!
Leah's
Come
like,
on. Yeah,
thank
so
you.
long. Woo!
Uh-oh,
3,
here,
4, 5.
and now here comes Kelly up beside I'm wanting to call Miles now, so sorry, Steven, if you're watching. Myers. There's a guy I know named Steven Miles. That's all that's crossing my head.
This is where we will see if Derek can keep his composure.
Right. This is
These
that
are the
moment.
moments
Yep.
where he still has speed. He should gather it up, try and get it sorted out.
This goes back to that whole thing of
Everybody's charging hard. He's got the 81 of
yeah, Parker up his
How do you kind of collect your thoughts when you have somebody beating your bumper off? That's hard to do.
nice way
But
to
he collected it and did it.
Yeah, well, you got to remember, too, Kelly doesn't have the newer tires compared to Myers, so Myers is able to send it in there and complete, if you will, the pass on Kelly there. So, but yeah, no, great point on your part here. Don't make a situation worse. You understand it when Kelly gets to the outside wall. You understand at this point in the race, you have kind of lost some track position here, so what can you do to make it worse? Well, now you go hit the wall, and then all of a sudden now you're even farther back. Or you spin out, and now you're even further back. But to somebody who's not further back, Anthony Calantoni is gone.
Gone.
About a second up
Yeah,
on Donnie
gone.
Leah. Huh. Talking
There was a
Giants.
commentary about the Penske numbers on the 2 and the 22.
Uh-huh.
Now, sooner or later, somebody gets Penske'd. That's the term in the league. And I see Robert Fryer, he's sitting right back there behind him. And I'm wondering if they all understand the curse of being Penske'd and whether he would make an attempt to get between those two. Just a joke.
Hey, well, obviously, but at the same time, for those who believe in jinxes and stuff like that, it's only true if you believe it. Just remember that.
Yeah.
All right, so it looks like we've calmed down for a half second.
For Donnie Leah, man. He's on a roll here. He's coming.
Well, remember, Calantoni is on older tires here, so let's be real for a second. He pulled away, but he got about 11 lap fresher tires right now on Donnie Leah. So he
I guess I could just say it sounds like Jaws. Then it's a shark in the water here.
pretty much. Kevin DeBrown's coming to pit road. I think he realized that his dog tracking is not working.
Yeah, Jatina's down there getting some service too in the 14, just trying to limp that car home.
Now,
I'll tell you who's back there that we have not talked about at all for quite some time. Look who's sitting there running third.
Yeah, Chad Coleman.
Chad Coleman. And Jose is right there too. If this goes long, all 50 laps right to the end, those two, Iron Man and his partner Skippy Dog, I don't know, we have to come up with a nickname.
Silverman? I don't know. Or
What's his sidekick's name, right? They might have a little something to say about this, because I believe Donnie Lee is the kind of guy that he's got that modified mentality. He just runs hard every lap. Speaking of running hard, here comes Josh Parker on the charge. He's going to take over fourth.
it gets by Jose Gonzalez there for the fourth position. There behind Chad Coleman, as you mentioned. So for those curious, by the way, we do have now two drivers who have made 1,000 starts in the series. One actually got a win on his 1,000th start, and that was E.J. O'Rourke last week when he got that, or I should say a couple weeks ago when he got that win.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the track has slipped my mind where he got that win at, but he got the win. And the other one's Chad Coleman. Who is next in line? It is actually Scott Simley who is next in line, which kind of caught me off guard because in trouble. David Comstock into the wall with.
Watch that going. That was inevitable. Wow.
Now, you kind of mentioned the whole Penske thing.
Yeah.
You do know that. All right, I think there's some fun going on here now. But that is a Miller Genuine Draft like paint scheme on the 77, which was Roger Penske car.
That was such a strange. I'm going to lay that one on Comstock. I'm not sure what he was doing there. Robert was maintaining that upper lane. Comstock drifted up, got into him. I would have thought he would have eased out and pulled it down, but it almost looked like he kept the throttle in it.
Oof.
And even when they're trying to pull away, it's just a strange circumstance there.
You know what? I wonder, because Robert blinks for a split second going into the corner.
It blinked, yes.
I wonder if David thinks that Robert turned down on him and realizes that maybe there was a little net code involved. I want to go back and show this again, because David might see this afterwards and realize, oh, whoops. So, yeah, David slides up.
Coming off of turn 2 where he slid wide.
Yeah, see, look, you see Robert's left front is like in a piece of the car almost right there. Oh, hold on, who's the other car there went out of shape?
Yeah, true. You're very true. And again, we know that these drivers log in from all over. We're talking about Casey Duncan coming from Seattle. Joey's down there in Alabama. We got drivers coming from northeast, south, and west, and we have no idea, weather-wise, how that plays into, driver connections into a centralized server. We were having this discussion last week. I remember going back to Bill Elliott's NASCAR Challenge and some of those early days. In the early days, when it used to rain at my house, when I lived in my other home, rain would wreck the signal and the car would warp all over the place just simply because the wires got wet, like the squirrels chewed on the wires or something. Tyler Dalton was talking about that.
What were you
kind
playing?
Of phenomena. So,
what were you playing Belly NASCAR on a computer?
Yes, sir. You didn't have that on a computer?
No, I had it on Nintendo. I didn't think we had computers at that point.
That's where I started. Well, we started with pole position.
There you now we're talking on the Atari.
I could do the little but yeah, pole position and Sega Genesis, and then moved to Bill Elliott's NASCAR, and I raced the original Papyrus games.
Yep.
In the NASCAR 1,
2. Then there was 3. Then there was 99.
You ever hear "Gotta Get a Gig"? I remember when we first, it was 98, built my first computer, and the tagline at the time from Micron Computer Company was, "You gotta get a gig," because it was special to have a gigabit hard drive. That was a really, really big deal. That shows you. There was a picture on the table my wife found the other day of my rig from 98. This huge tower case with 5.5 floppy drives in it. And yeah, we raced online all the time. We raced offline before we raced online. We would run NASCAR races to settings they would mail to us, mail, not email, and then we would mail back our response. We would write out how we finished and how many laps we ran. And when that was the first league I was ever in, was a mail league. And you raced your own computer, and then you wrote out the, put it in an envelope, mailed it back. How's that for OG?
I'm blown away by that story.
Yeah, so these guys, in modern days, the net connectivity is generally flawless. iRacing is astonishingly good in that capacity, but, there's times in this world, like right now, where we've had all those storms that you were talking about down in the south, this number of days, and the whole eastern seaboard is under thunderstorm warnings and watches tonight. So
Yeah, we actually just got our half of it last night. As a matter of fact, Joey and I were talking at the time when it started hitting here because we were going through trying to figure out about if we were going to race because the Cup race was starting and all that kind of thing when it hit here. But yeah, I mean, that obviously becomes a factor. I mean, you're up there, I think you're in like West Hampton or whatever in New York, somewhere up there in the rich area. And, you know, I'm over here in Georgia, and obviously the different weathers of different. I was waiting for you to correct me there, but
Flemington area, Flemington, New Jersey.
home of the old Flemington Speedway.
Flemington Speedway, yes, sir.
Truck
That's
Series
the
ran there for
tie.
years. Yep.
Correct. Covered a lot of those as a rescue squad guy. Used to be a track guy.
Nice. That was a big modified
brother
track, if I
is-
remember correctly, right?
5/8. It was called the Square. But
Yeah, it
ran
was a
like-
square. I do remember that. Yes. I
Yeah,
forgot that
the
part.
only track that I've ever seen that's like it is Fonda, New York. As we go back to green, pace car's going to pull off, and this resets everything. Derek Myers running in fourth, right there with everybody else. He kind of got a redo.
As Leah gets a good restart in the zone, as we get back to it, Chad Coleman there on his outside. Josh Parker, Nelson Rivera's there, Derek Myers, Brian Macklin, Mike Kelly. Now let's recap real quick while we were on our Federal Express talk or whatever it was with the bird. But anyways, Jose Gonzalez, Calantoni, Gillenwater, Holyfield, those cars came to pit road there under that caution. So they, I think, have fresh tires. And they're restarted back in about the 15th position. So I'll have to keep an eye on those guys.
For 8th. Wow. They realize when you get inside 50, there's no filter.
No.
50 to go, hammer down. If I
Um,
have an inch, I'm going to make it a quarter inch, and I'm going to take that other quarter inch.
Now, Casey Duncan obviously was talking about what happened with he and Pedro, but he also brought up down here. He started sim racing at the age of 22. Now, I'm not sure. I'm not going to do it to him on a broadcast. He knows what was about to happen to him. But anyways, he said he was on 10 servers and Hawaii servers.
Yes, Hawaii Ace League, sure.
So he said,
Phone bills.
yeah, 8 drivers at a time,
Crazy phone bills.
all racing on the beach.
Look at this, and there's
my
the concept.
gosh!
Where do you,
Yep, Myers in the
Wow.
wall. Yep.
but he salvaged it. Again, these guys are just no quarter right now. When you say give and take, the give goes away and the take becomes what you're going to do here in the final 50 is if you're within that top 5, you want
Whoa.
to get the track position.
Steve Ritter, where'd he come from? We were on board with Kelly, or not Kelly, but Hudson, and Ritter just shotgunned the outside and made a move there. As, yeah, this race is picking up here. People with tires, all different types of strategies here coming into play. Jose Gonzalez, you mentioned him a little bit ago. He's the first one on fresh tires now, up to the 9th position.
Beasley's making a really good charge here, running top 5 again tonight. But out front, Donnie Leah got away from these guys in clean air. I'll tell you the one thing I would like about Donnie Leah. Even with worn tires, he knows how to get as much as he can out of the car. But he's got the guy who is going to be just flat out wide open chasing him down. Josh Parker. I do not want to be looking at. They have a very similar racing style.
Yes.
Take no quarter, those
Oh.
two. And then it's a little more conservative behind them, but certainly never lacking in speed with Chad Coleman. So this race is not over by any stretch.
Derek Myers is taking his car behind the wall, so not sure if he got some damage or what happened there. So tough break for the 39, led some laps.
I believe he might have broken a toe link. Just the way that his car went in with the right front would be indicative of breaking a toe link.
All right, so Casey Duncan just opened up the right for me to say whatever here. He just called his quote here, and yes, I know I'm old as dirt, but Joe Hudson is old as God. That was his comment here. I mean, Casey Duncan said he was 22 in 98. We can't decide, though, if it's 18 or 1998.
I love the fact that that is the nature of the sim community. This particular league, and you know, when they rub and beat and bang on each other in these races, and then afterwards they just cut up and have such a blast.
They
Most
do.
of the time, Every once in a while, there's a little hate mail sending around, but for the most part, these guys are a great community.
Oh, absolutely.
They're great racers and great friends on and off the racetrack.
I told some people in another league, I said, if you guys could watch this series on Sunday and Monday nights, and if we could do what they do after each race and sit there and laugh about it, it would be awesome. But I don't know if we could make that happen. Casey, see, what Casey's afraid to admit is he actually, when he first did his sim racing, he actually had a horse in front of him with ropes.
Yeah.
But sorry, Casey, I had to, buddy.
You're running out of laps here.
36
to
go.
Pass at this racetrack. You look at somebody like Anthony Calantoni, who was leading out front. This whole reset has kind of shuffled the deck, and now he's simply fighting to try and scrap for a 10th, 9th place finish here. Hard every car going forward to try and get that position. Good run for Bob Gillenwater, who's, his schedule is so complicated that he doesn't get to race with us much, but any night that he shows up, he's a top 10 threat.
Yeah, absolutely. He's always a threat. And one other car that I've caught is Simley about knocked the wall down back there as Gillenwater gets to his inside. Look who's running 5th right now. Richard Beasley has snuck into the top 5.
Jose's trying to find more racetrack to get around Richard with those fresh tires. He was down on the apron. You can do it this racetrack, but not very common. But when Richard's in your way, okay, I'll just use the apron.
Beasley climbs back topside here on Gonzalez.
I think he's going to clear him now. That little wiggle on entry to corner just unsettled the car too much, and Jose was able to sneak past.
Donnie Lee has pulled away to 0.8 of a second now on Parker. Coleman 1.4 back. Macklin 2 seconds back. As, Gonzalez the first one on tires. Bob Gillenwater mentioned with tires. And how about Calantoni? He's got 4 fuel goods, 2 on that 84.
I feel like Chad Coleman is taking a different path through the corners, and I'm not sure if it's helping or hurting his situation. You look at everybody else, how they sweep in. He's doing the shallow entry in some respects. And I don't know if I have that right or not, because I've only watched a couple laps, but I just noticed when you look over in the corner and you watch the driver parking in, his entry looks a little different than everybody else's. He's like a half to quarter lane down from other drivers. We talked about that on the outset, Chris, how these drivers attack the corners at this racetrack. In time, it does or doesn't pay off. It's hard to say how that works out. But one thing that it does afford him is he's carving that yellow line for sure. A lot of drivers are 2, 3 car widths, tire widths off that line. He's right on that yellow line every.
Yeah, he's doing a great job of that right now as you see Gillenwater.
He got a little too close to the apron that time out of turn 2. Just as we were watching him, and out he went, stepped out.
As we watch Jatina just get out of the way of the field here as he gets lapped. And now, as you see, Gonzalez has gone around Coleman now. Macklin going by. You see Gillenwater. Now you're seeing those fresh tires start to work their way up here. The question is, do they have enough time to get to Donnie if we stay green?
As fast as that 26 looks right now, you have to see whether he can carve 2/10, 3/10 off every lap. Jose ran a 36.65, and your leader out front in clean air is a 36.95 that time across the lap. So he's been 1 to 2/10 faster in the 26, but with the laps tracking down 30 laps, I don't know if he's got enough to catch him.
Got some trouble here in the front straightaway. I didn't want to interrupt you, but Glenn Campbell and Steve Ritter went through the grass and pretty much saved it. No caution as they're towards the back of the field here, but we continue on green.
Yeah, Ritter's still down there, is he not?
He's down on the warm-up lane right now.
Yeah.
Oh, here's an interesting pass. Calantoni passed Gillenwater for 6th.
Yeah, I think if you could have rewrote this race, Calantoni is the true threat. Sometimes, fellow Jersey guy, by the way, sometimes the track just suits your style. How you pick up the throttle, how you turn the car down in, how you set your brake bias. And Anthony's got a hot rod tonight.
So 27 laps to go. Are we going to see a surprise winner here, or will Donnie Leah be able to pull away? You wonder how much him driving a modified and preserving tires might help him here as Gonzalez moves to second, or is ahead to second, as Macklin now trying to get third. Parker's starting to fall back into the clutches of the fresh tires here. Macklin just looking to put that full race together. It seems like ever since Daytona, it has just not happened for him. Chad Coleman's still there in fifth as Macklin tries to get around Parker. Here comes Coleman. Here comes Callan, Tony, Gillen Waters. These guys kind of stack up a little bit. David Comstock has gotten back up to the 8th position. He's got fresh tires himself. As we got 25 to go here. Going to go 3 wide down the back.
Lee's only been here for 8 races this season. He got 5 top 10s with 1 win.
Oh! They're trying not to wreck here. Calatoni! 4 wide and he saved it.
That was a moment. If you're Bob Gillenwater, man, you made a commitment there.
Oh, I'm pretty sure
Bob saw that sweep and he thought, well, is he going to stay down there or should I plug that hole? And plugged it.
I'm pretty sure all 4 of them right now are like, Code Brown.
Kept his foot right in it. Good for him.
And Steve Ritter comes to pit road. Now, you were starting to say about Donnie. Sorry about that.
I was just saying Donnie's only makes limited appearances here this season so far, but you know, he's got a 5th, he's got a 4th, he's got a 5th, and he's got a 1st. Gateway Oval, won the race June 12th, so he's looking to put number 2, but looking in his rearview mirror and watching that 26 get bigger and bigger and bigger.
That's kind of interesting here because I think back to Bristol last season, a concrete track in Tennessee, that he went to victory lane. So is this another one for Gonzalez? But again, let's not forget, Donnie Leah has driven modifieds for years. If anybody knows how to preserve tires on a car, where most of the time, especially watching me, I've been watching the Smart Mods a lot and watching the Whelen Modified Tour. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kev, but most races you have all of 1 tire to change.
Yeah.
So if anybody knows how to preserve tires, it's going to be that guy up front right now.
Yeah, and a reset changes everything, of course, but I just don't know how they're going to hold Jose off. I think he is on a mission here tonight. He's been on a mission all night long. He's got the track position.
But again, if Jose's driving that car hard, he's going to wear the tires out, and then you got Donnie who might not be driving so hard right now. That's what and then not to mention he's going to get dirty air here now as he gets into this wake. I think we're going to have a battle versus a sub versus a burger. Tell me that don't make you hungry.
I'm pretty sure the Smash Burger is going to smash this one. He is pretty darn good. And, you know, the one thing about Jose is his season is completely upended. He's had some awful races and frustration in the cockpit of that car. Yet, if you look, there's moments of brilliance. A couple maybe 3 third-place finishes, including last week. And this is the type of driver that when he gets it figured out, he could show up and rip off a couple wins or at least a bunch of top 5s and be right there in the hunt for the point championship. Man, he's there. He's within a half a car length almost on the middle of entry, 3 car lengths on the front straightaway back. You're right, though. It does not look like the car is performing really well in the wake of the 29. There it is right there.
Has a good run there through the corner. See if he pushes up the track here. Both of them had a good exit. As Bob Gillenwater, you saw, moved up to the 3rd position past Brian Macklin.
You could see what Jose's doing. He's entering wide. and then turning down. And as Donnie drifts up on the corner, he's able to get some left front corner, and that allows him to cut well, not push, because typically when you have no air on the car does not want to turn, but he's able to get down to the yellow line, get some air on that left
Leah
front.
got loose.
Hey, Donnie, a little loose. Is he going to try and go by him here? Can he get up to that quarter panel and pull him back? He's there, but didn't cinch the knot.
I think Jose had to get out of the throttle there coming off 2 when Leah got loose, and I think it killed his momentum there.
Now, I don't want to say this in pre-forecast, but what he needs to do now is have a little bit of patience. It's 135. He's got 15 laps to work on him. Don't do a kamikaze move and slide up and slap the wall out of 4. They got this lap car in front of them. That's going to be interesting.
Are you
It's going
saying
to change both their entry into the corner.
Are you saying he's got a Guns N' Roses here a little bit? Oh, Donnie gets in a little deep.
Here we go.
Oh, and then Donnie got tied up the track. Here comes Jose.
Donnie's going to pull down and side draft him. See if he can pull him back a little. Open up the entry by turning down in. Now Donnie needs to drive from the center off, and he just doesn't have it. The car got up a little too high, couldn't turn, and Jose had a flawless corner. And P1, Jose Gonzalez, Trans-Service Toyota, out to the front. Donnie's this.
Oh!
Cool.
Guess what this is going to do, though? Here comes Bob within 2 seconds.
Yeah, if I'm Jose right now, I want to get this corner done right down here in turn 1 and 2 and see if I can break away. I need to get a little gap so I can get my line on the exit here, and he did it at a car length and a half. Now I can focus on trying to stretch out a little bit, put Donnie in the rearview mirror. Now we get to watch whether Gillenwater can do what Jose did.
And
How about the run by Bob? That is so cool.
Bob's had a great run. He finished in the top 5 yesterday, as a matter of fact, second, I think it was, at Auto Club. And now he's looking to get a top 3 here this evening. And it looks like his distance is kind of holding steady here. But you know what? Donnie's not really letting Jose get away here, so...
No, I think there'll be a little bit of draft in play, and he'll be able to maybe cool those tires down and see if he can track them down. Don't count Donnie out. I didn't want to say that Jose's checked the box, because I think if anybody can, in the modified sense, make a run on someone, it would be Donnie. And I'm just looking back through like what happened in this top 10 as we watched that battle. Chad Coleman slipped back to 8th. That car just doesn't have the speed. Not sure if it's tire.
It is tires. Yeah, Coleman's on older tires. He pitted at lap 80. Leah, Macklin, Coleman, Rivera, Parker. Matter of fact, let's go the other way here. Gonzalez, Gillenwater, Comstock, Stenzel, and Calantoni all have tires.
Yeah, so Stenzel, how about that? He's had an eventful night, but with fresh tires, he's now trying to track down Macklin in front of him, who's got worn tires. So.
Now, seeing these numbers right now, tonight is 197 starts for Jose Gonzalez on the Cup side of Sim500. And, of course, I go back to that Bristol race we mentioned last season. It was, let me scroll all the way down 140 races here. It was all the way back to, looking for that one. There's Talladega, won that race. I think I'm looking at the wrong. No, I'm looking at the right series here. Oh, I'm going backwards here. Never mind. It was. I'm all over the place. I'm kind of like these cars are tonight.
Yeah, side by side battle there for that 5th position. Stenzel's trying to take it away from Macklin. Macklin not giving it up easy. Stenzel charging on the bottom line. They give themselves a lot of space coming to the backstretch. Good run for Macklin to the high side. Now they're back door to door on the entry to 3. Stenzel surges ahead. Question is, can he clear him out of 4? And he does. Got Stenzel 5th.
So Stenzel the 5th, as I get confused looking at stats all of a sudden here. Here's Stenzel with the 30 car right there behind him, and you see Gonzalez now starting to stretch it out. 8 laps to go.
Not good lose for Macklin because he's got Count Tony running 7th.
Right.
He's also got fresh tire.
All right, so on Monday nights, it was the I think it was the Grand National Series where he got the win at Bristol. On Monday nights, he got a win at Talladega back in April of 2018. And he also got a win in June of 2017 at Pocono. So we're looking at potentially Jose's first Cup win in 5 years.
Wow. That's a stat that
I want to make sure I read that right before I said it. Yeah.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was Jose that was with us back in those early days that I was talking about. And I remember he had the absolute worst connection of any sim racer ever.
Well, in fairness, he is in Puerto Rico.
Yes. And I remember early days racing the first, when we had 26K motives, 56K motives,
Good job,
28,
Kev.
right? That he used to race with us, and his connection, he'd drop out of every race like 4 times.
Was this AOL?
It was in the AOL days, yes. PTD network. Yeah. Yes, it was the AOL days. You would connect.
Mom, I'm on the phone.
Yeah. No joke, my kids were little, like baby infants, and my wife, kids would be screaming, not want to go to sleep, and she had to go to bed to go to work. And I would race with my son resting on my chest. Sound of the steering wheel would put him to sleep. Sound of the car racing. That's what I remember. Fun days. Yellow! Oh no!
Caution is out as Comstock gets around Gillenwater as they were fighting. It's for Richard Beasley over here on the front straightaway. Oh, boy.
You did not do that. Holy cow.
Who? Oh, Beasley's having issues here. Who's got tires?
Holy cow.
Somebody pulled the modem of this race. So, do we pit here if you have tires? Donnie Leah or Brian Macklin or Chad Coleman? I think if you're at the back half of the top 10, bring the field with you. Now, you're going to have about, if I count the cars that pitted at the last caution, there's 10 cars on the lead lap that pitted at that last caution.
I don't.
Here we go.
If you get one of those, yeah, I think
Leaders are coming.
I would go.
Gillenwater stays out. Comstock stays out.
I just have to say this before the moment passes. I would go down to pit road after this one, and see whether the 10 and the 81 take off their Comstock to each other.
We'll see the replay here in a second, but
I would take tires. I agree with the call. It's a risky deal because you need to come out first if you went in first. Otherwise, so let's see what Jose does here.
Okay.
4 tires and fuel. Somebody could sneak 2 tires.
I think Donnie
Like
Leah just
the
did.
29 and Donnie Leah.
So let me throw this now at you. Nelson Rivera, 2 tires. So now you've got 6
love this
cars between you and 4 fresh tires. I think that's too many. I think it's too many, Kev.
If you're the track guard that stands along the fence to keep people from walking up to the fence over in turn number 4, I would be very careful where you stand.
Let's go back and see the caution
Or
here.
turn 1 or whatever. This is going to be crazy restart.
And this is going to be Sim500 overtime for those counting. But let's see.
I just don't understand what happened here. See the 81 come off the corner and the 10. The 81 almost looks like he turned down to side drift, maybe?
Maybe. Well, you know what? Aren't they in the team name channel together? Let me peek down here really quickly. Yes, they are. So I don't know if there was anything intentional to that. I think it was literally a side draft gone wrong. I think you're accurate.
Side draft gone wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why does that sound like the beach thing? What was that series called? No, never mind. Don't go there.
Hawaii 5-0?
No.
Okay.
The video series where... Shut up.
I'm confuzzled right now.
Yeah, I'll tell
We
you.
have totally lost the modem of this broadcast.
This is going to be... I can't... You couldn't predict what's going to happen on the side of it. When that pace car pulls left, sit forward, folks, because this is going to... You got Donnie Lee on 2 tires. You got Jose, who feels like that could have been robbed from... You got 4 cars, 5 cars sitting out front who want to sneak away and see if they can win. A yellow coming back on a green-white checker. 2 attempts could potentially have an impact to the finish.
So I did, by the way,
to this.
before the yellow came out, I was doing the research here. So here's what I've come down to figure out. Okay, so it was the Grand National side where Gonzalez got that win at Bristol, which broke his streak of months without a win, or actually years without a win, because he had last won in 2018. And then after that, he went on a win streak, so to say. He won in July at Phoenix after that Bristol race, and then went and won at Daytona in August. And then, of course, the Cup side is where he has not had a win in years. So this tonight could be one of those things. I mean, Tyler Dalton last week in the Grand National Series broke a streak of numerous starts without a win.
You have to do one of those. Is it going to be Bob Gillen sneaking away a win? Is Comstock going to be able to salvage something out of a night that looked like it was going to go his direction? Is Scott Stenzel going to have some personal comfort in his Camaro tonight?
Yeah.
Running third, Calantoni, he thought one was owed. He was driving away earlier. And then you got 2-tire Leah and Josh Parker, who we talked about before. You got Jose Gonzalez, who should have rightfully won this race. And now we're going to find out which one's going to come back here and hold the checkered flag.
Ooh, Donnie Lee, a bad start. Jose gets into him and turns him into the grass. And Jose off the pace now. Here come the tires. Rivera going to call contact with Stenzel and Calantoni. They save it. And now they're in the wall. Stenzel is.
Love that.
Stenzel's wrecking.
Love the fact. Oh, the yellow.
Caution is out. Chad Coleman involved. Kevin Stone just clobbered Holyfield.
I told you to be careful over there.
I saw Stenzel trying to catch it and unfortunately got turned sideways.
If I'm Bob Gillenwater and I'm looking 2 hard chargers out my rear view, and wow, there's going to be a lot of fireworks this race, as predicted.
The big winner on this restart was Josh Parker.
I think there was a game of chicken played there on the start-finish. Donnie didn't go very well, and the 26 just was not going to lift, because if he did lift, there was no way he was going to have a factor in this.
Okay, so Kevin Stone, Holyfield. Okay, that could have been a lot worse, actually. And then watch Holyfield gets BAM! What's going to leave a mark.
Oh, it broke them apart at least.
So, again, who did I mention the big winner was? Let's back it up here for a second to the restart. And let's go on board with Josh Parker, who restarts all the way in the 8th position on fresh tires. And let's watch what he does here. First gear restart.
That's pretty...
There goes Donnie to the left. Exit stage left.
Open the hole for the bottom for him to make a charge.
Scott gets loose down there in the bottom. Checks up Calantoni.
Yeah.
And look at this.
Yeah, the seas parted for him. That was a perfect storm for him. And if I'm Gillenwater, change my tires 51 laps, and I've got two guys sitting in the second row behind me, both have lap old tire.
Now, this is the second and final overtime, by the way. There's only 2 overtimes in Sim500. So if Bob gets a start here and they wreck right away, we could be watching Bob Gillenwater go to victory lane here in Tennessee. And if that's the case, Bob would be the 10th winner on the season. Which, when you think about Pedro and all the wins he has.
Yes. I just want to talk to Bob Gillenwater on that.
You know what? Let me correct
Virginia's
myself.
Bob Gillenwater is one of the biggest who talk to in person.
Do we dare talk to him?
No, I think we better not distract.
He probably won't answer us.
You got Carolina, Dave Comstock, New England, Josh Parker, New York, Nelson Rivera, New Jersey, Anthony Calantoni. We're not sure where Brian Macklin comes from.
He would be the 12th winner. I flipped over to the Cup stats. He'd be the 12th winner of the season.
If the last restart was pandemonium, guess what?
Calm as can be.
I don't think so.
I don't think so, Tim.
I don't think so. I do believe, though, as you said, that the 81's and Catbird seat defense, Bob needs to do what you said.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the disadvantage, and we'll have to see if any restart games are played here. You have to start in the Geico restart.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be running pit road speed. And when you step on the gas on old tires, you have to not spin the tires. If somebody lags back a little bit, just some of those games, and you have fresh tires, your launch is going to be better. So I'm sure that the admins are going to watch this restart to make sure that no chicanery is going on here.
Kev, you know what? I was wondering, he didn't do it. I was wondering if Bob should go to the top here. To kind of plug Parker behind Comstock.
That would have been an interesting move, although I don't know if I want to head down into turn number 1 with someone on the inside, because 8 tires is better than 4.
True. I will say that. Now, let me, I want to kind of talk about something here for a second. That paint scheme of Bob Gillenwater's, for those who don't know what JDRF is Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. So obviously, Bob does a lot of charitable work in the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. Obviously speaks for itself there. We're talking about, obviously young kids that unfortunately suffer from diabetes. So I think it's a kind of cool thing that he has on that car. And obviously Bob doing good things, always has that paint scheme there. So can Bob take it to victory lane here? He's got a Monster on his outside. He's got a Parker behind him. He's got a Riviera to the right. Can he go to victory lane here? The second and final Sim500 overtime restart. If you don't have your seatbelt on, you might want to put it on now.
Yeah, they could all go down into turn 1 and wad it up.
Now, do I remind you of an Xfinity race once here back in 2005 where Michael Waltrip was 5th on the final lap going into turn 2 and won the race? Parker 3 wide to the bottom. Comstock got the run to the top.
Gillenwater's a meet in the middle, and he's just not going to have enough rep going in. The 81's going to steer away. The 22's going to use the tires. 30. And we have a new leader, Josh
We're
Parker.
5 wide off 4. White flag. Not to cut you off. They're still back there beating off each other. 3, 4, 5 wide. Beating and banging. They're 4 wide again. All this behind Josh Parker.
6 in the grass back there.
Montesi in trouble as Rivera makes a late move and try to get to Josh Parker. And it will not happen as Josh Parker picks up win number 3 of the season at Nashville.
Well, you go back and rewind the tape, but 20 laps, and this race looked completely different than how it. You got to give it to these drivers. Ease the opportunity. Get those fresh tires and pick up a bunch of different positions. But Joe Hudson a top 5.
Yeah.
Good on Joe.
Oh, and what in the world? And then no, there's the 10. There's this thing going on. I think these guys are playing here.
Yeah, futzing around there.
I think. I mean, who knows? By the way, Parker and Rivera ran the 2 fastest laps of the race right there on the final lap, a 30 flat and a 30.01.
I tell you, Nelson had a good run out of turn number 4. I wondered if he'd be able to run. He went down to the apron, but Josh just held it high, wide, and handsome out of turn. Pulled it off and gets his 3rd victory of the season. Good run for him. Never really was that much of a factor all night. These fresh tires at the end made the difference. You know, you look at some of those drivers. Could Donnie Leah have made a different approach to the end of this? I know he'll revisit this and whether those 2 tires paid off. With 2 restarts at the end there, Chris, you had more opportunity to make advantage of those 4 tires. Well, you see where it ends. Here's Josh Parker writing his name on the front stretch with his buddy, I guess. The Tide Ride sitting right there.
Now, I'm curious to know, obviously we'll never get to know, is would Gillenwater be able to hold off Parker there if there's no caution?
Really hard to say. I think Bob did all that he could, but the car just did not have the launch up out of turn number 2 the way the 81 did. You can see it looked like Josh had about 50 more horsepower. Cut down the bottom, trim that yellow line. When you have the restart and you're not fully up to speed, you could leave it in 4th and roll that bottom. Car's going to run like a slot car down there, and it really digs coming up off the corner. And if you're on worn tires like Bob was, the best you could do is just keep your foot planted and see how it comes out. If it slips in any way, shape, or form, the car on the bottom with fresh tires and grip is going to lose time, just like a drag race. Somebody beat you at the light.
As we watch the restart here, Comstock had a great restart there. Rivera gets to the top side, and like I said,
watch the car carve right here. When he turned down and launched, it just drove up off the corner, even on the bottom. You could just still see it gaining. He was 2/10 faster by the end of the backstretch.
Now watch right here. As I said, they were beating and banging off each other everywhere. And when I say 5 wide, this track's not wide enough for 5 wide. Until you get back here and see this. Calantoni bounces off of Roth. Here comes Coleman. Here comes Donaldson. There's Gonzalez.
Yeah, probably the most disappointed person who didn't deserve what ended up happening.
Yeah.
Such a great run. Right from the beginning, he was a contender, and to not come away with a good finish, ended up where? 21st tonight?
Yep, Jose 21st, yeah. Yeah, 4 wide again.
That has got to be disappointing. Something happened over here on the backstretch.
Yeah, I saw somebody go off track.
I think that was Montesi back there. I remember him riding.
It was Mike, yes. Yeah, you're right.
Had to be in that
Gonzalez is the one that got turned on the front.
Yeah, okay. Boy, I want to write him a sympathy.
Nah, we don't do that here.
Feel for him.
We'll send him some Advil or something. But yeah, you see Simley gets in the back of Comstock, and then Gonzalez. Yeah, it's just a tough break. Coleman gets into the back of him, and Coleman goes up and T-bones Donnie Leah. I think at that point he just kind of Denny Hamlin, just let his hands off the wheel and say, hey, you're coming with me.
It seems so strange for us to be, you and I, to be upset about this, but we know what it's like to run 150 laps and get to the final corner and just experience the absolute utter pain of having that happen.
Now, I mean, I kind of had that Wednesday. I bring up the truck series again. I mean, I ran up there in the top 10 for a little bit, and then I messed myself up, and then all of a sudden I ended up finishing where I started in 26th. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's around you at the end, and I felt bad.
It's okay.
You deserve to be.
Wow. It's the way it goes in racing. But Brian Macklin, obviously up here at the booth now with us, joins us. And that was quite the boring finish, huh? sarcasm there.
You have Josh in here.
I saw Brian in here a second ago.
He popped out.
Oh.
Let me bring him up. Here we go.
Oh,
Now
no,
you got
who's my
Josh
producer
and Brian.
here? Good grief.
Nelson. There you go.
We got all of them in here now. But Brian, you finished third. Obviously, I was joking and said quite the boring finish there. But no, in all seriousness, what wildness with tire strategy and stuff.
Yeah, that was definitely an interesting race. I was on the wrong end of the tire strategy until that late caution came out, but it worked out where I was able to get back up there and get a good finish. I need all the points I can get right now, so I'll take it.
Yeah, I was going to bring up, man, this season, let me ask this before I go any further. Would you trade that Daytona win for better luck this season?
No, I still am glad that I won Daytona. This is pretty much par for the course for me. I win Daytona, then I wreck out of about 10 races and dig a deep hole in the points and have to climb out before the playoffs start. So pretty used to it by now.
Well, you should know how to fix this then, right? But, hey, well, it's a good start here tonight. Third place, obviously. I know it's something you got to be proud of.
Yeah, like I said, just trying to throw together some good finishes, get some points, and start getting some momentum. I thought I had a shot at winning this race, but I just didn't do a good job of taking care of the tires tonight at all. I started running really good on the first long green flag run that we had, and then I started pushing too hard and killed the right front, and it killed any shot I had at being able to run up there with Pedro. And then all the cautions just kind of took any kind of tire strategy out, or at least tire conservation out of it at the end.
Well, unfortunate deal there, but hey, it worked out, as you said, with the tires there at the end of that race. Obviously, the main question is going to be if we didn't get that second caution, where the finishing order comes up, but we'll never know that answer, which is a good thing. Good third place for you. Shout out to whoever you like to.
Yeah, I got to thank Scott and Personal Comfort for sponsoring this car. I wish I could have given them some better runs this season, but we're starting to string them together now. I got to thank you guys for putting on the broadcast, all the sponsors here at Sim500, all the admins that make it happen, and looking forward to go back and watching this one. This one's going to be a fun one to watch.
We apologize in advance for the modem talks and stuff like that. So.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Good job, man.
Yep.
Brian Macklin here finishing in the third position. We've got the whole crew here with us here, Kev, and so Nelson going to join you there from second.
Yeah, so we'll talk to Nelson. We were talking about the Penske numbers, that joke that floats around, but a second place finish tonight, tires went your way. What did you need to get to, Josh, at that last run? The two of you were almost lockstep in climbing through the field here at that final.
Well, I mean, yeah, Josh was pretty quick there. I don't know if he did 4 or 2 tires. I did 2 on that last yellow, and jumped up from 9th place to, I think I restarted 4th or 5th, and that seemed to be the right call. I saw Jose do it mid-race. He did it 2 tires, and he was pretty quick. So I said, okay, I'm gonna keep that in my back pocket and try it if it came down to it. But I mean, I was already conceding 9th place. I think I was running there at the end, and we got that late caution. So I got lucky, and honestly, I didn't even know, like, I'm not used to getting podium finishes, so I didn't know where to go. I was looking for your channel, kind of like, a first-time winner can't find a winner circle,
Well,
that
let's
kind
see
of
if we
thing.
can make a habit out of this.
Well, hopefully, yeah, maybe from here on out. But yeah, I was just hoping Parker, and congratulations to him on the win. I was hoping Parker would get stuck behind on the bottom there, and I tried him up top, but he got the 3 wide. He got a clear shot down the backstretch, and once he did that, he was gone.
Have a curiosity when I ask you to reflect on track surface in this track. Talk a little bit about the grip that you had, the lines that you were choosing, tire wear. That was a factor all night long. I know we had a stint of cautions there, which changed everything, but talk about the driving conditions for this event tonight.
Well, once the bottom rubbered up, it got really tight off on the bottom, and you had to start moving up at least a half a lane to a full lane, and then it was strange. You couldn't run the same line, it seemed, consistently. My tires would heat up running. It would be fast for a few laps, and then you could feel the right front heat up. So I had to go back down to the bottom, let them cool down, and then go at it again. But yeah, it was. I felt comfortable all night. Even in practice, I wasn't that fast, and I was actually surprised on my front row qualifying effort. I didn't expect to be that fast. I just felt comfortable in practice. I felt I can get a rhythm going, and yeah, I mean, I was just, felt like I can definitely achieve a top 10, but not a second place.
You have LaRue on the side of your Mustang. Talk a little bit about this partnership. We see that here and there in sim racing, and always curious as to what the connection is for you.
Yeah, it's a team about it's an open series team that we run, in NIS or Road to Pro. LaRue is a snow removal, industrial snow blower company, huge company up in Canada, and we know the family. The son drives. William LaRue, he drives a late model up in Canada, 21-year-old kid. So, trying to get a career going, and obviously he's an avid iRacer. And we formed this team, with sponsorship from LaRue itself, and we just brought it over to Sim500.
I love that you guys make the connection to racing. I always love when we cross that divide and that. Well, third place finish here at Nashville, and I don't know about you, but from sitting here, it was either an exercise in frustration or one of the most fascinating races you've run all season. I don't know where it falls on the spectrum for you, but here you are, podium finish, sitting right there behind Josh Parker. Best finish of the season, right, for you? So not a bad night's work.
Yeah, best finish for a while. I want to say maybe a year, at least a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. But
They're hard to come by for sure.
They are, man. This series is tough, and that's why I love it. So, hopefully this run can continue.
Well, good talking to you, Nelson. Time for you to have the microphone. Shout out to anybody you want to say hello to.
Yep, my teammates at LaRue. Rob Friery, he had some bad. He was running well for a while, but he had some bad luck again tonight. He just can't seem to put a good, a full race together. But he's working on it to try to get us both into playoffs. I want to thank you guys for putting on the broadcast and praying for Judah.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Nelson. Go enjoy that with your teammate. Had an interesting debrief after this, and we'll turn to Chris, who's caught up with our winner, Josh Parker. Thanks, Nelson.
Yeah, Josh Parker, obviously in the 81 car, going to victory lane tonight. Third win of the season. You do it from the back, and it wasn't without a little bit of drama there. You and Beasley coming together there, had a little argy-bargy amongst teammates there and team name, but man, the four tires worked out for you, and I got to know the first thought when you see what's going on above you at the first overtime and see the inside lane just open up for you.
Yeah, I was thinking it's not often you want to have a bad restart, and I was like, there's not really a good reason to be on Mike's tail going to the start, because I needed some time to get through 1 and 2 for his tire, like his worn out tires to kind of kick in, so I can duck low, because I wouldn't have had any. I would have been blocked from any of the moves. So I kind of laid back a little bit, let him jump out, and then that gave me a little opening off of 2.
And obviously it worked out from there, got the caution, and then able to get the run there and get to the front. Talk about this race itself, man. It was wild. We had the green flag run there at the beginning, and we had a bunch of cautions, and it just kind of worked out in favor for you. And I know it's got to feel pretty good to get a win. It's
always fun coming from the back, because you get to almost see everything that happened. But it was tough. The green flag run, I started off quick, and then we kind of plateaued, and then we pitted. I said pitted pretty. I think I came in like the mid-teens. It was all right. I needed a yellow to group us back up, and we ended up getting that. So that grouped us back up, and then I don't know. On that long run behind Donnie, we were on older tires there against Jose's fresh tires. When he came in and got through that lead, and I don't know what I did. I don't know. I was just inconsistent, and it burnt my right front up. So yeah, it was interesting. And then me and Beasley we were battling for 10th, and he hit me up the track, so I came down to side draft him, and we ended up looking back at it. It was a bunch of net code, but it didn't seem like I was that close to him. I was just kind of, it went from the wall to him, and I think that freaked the sim out. But yeah, well, luckily we didn't hit anything. He didn't really hit anything either, and yeah, we ended up taking 2 tires there at the end to get track position, and was able to hold him off.
Well, great job tonight and great strategy call there on your part, and getting win number 3 here of this season, and still got plenty of races to go. And send some shouts whoever you like to.
Yeah, everyone over at team name Beasley. I guess a little bit his feelings are hurt, but screw him. Yeah, you guys for doing the broadcast, Joey. I'm sorry for Jose, man. He had the strategy call to win the race that cost him that one. So I shout out to Jose, and yeah.
Definitely worked out for you. By the way, could you say what you said to Beasley again?
Oh, I told Beasley to go mind his own business. He's probably not even at his mic.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. What you got?
Nothing.
I want to say, you guys, when you listen back, I said it would be interesting to get out to the pit and see whether you take your helmets off. You're fucking
No, Beasley. You want to know what happened? Beasley drove up to my car and goes, "All right, we got to make it look good for the broadcast." He's soft, man.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true.
I had to sneak Beasley up here because I got to create a little drama sometimes, I think. So,
No, we were battling for 10th, and he said since I wrecked him, which it wasn't, I wouldn't say it was all my fault, but he said I had to win the race, so I took 2 tires.
Yeah, it was just hard racing there. We were back and forth for 10 laps there. We went back and watched it.
Yeah, it was a lot of good racing out there tonight, man. Tough to see that. I know you had a good run Wednesday, but to see the rough luck tonight, that was at the end there, that definitely stunk. But Beasley, appreciate the fun. Josh, congratulations on the win, and I guess I'll see you guys Wednesday, but we'll see you guys next week. Or 2 weeks. We're off next week.
Sounds good, man.
Absolutely, buddy. Josh Parker, the winner tonight. Richard Beasley. We'll move him back down there so he can enjoy the fun that's going on down in team name right now. And, yeah, we're off next week, by the way, for those who are curious. He moved himself, thankfully, because I couldn't find his team name. We're off next week, Sunday, Monday. So, because of the 4th of July. So, the next time you will see Sim500 broadcasting will be next week from Sunday. And we'll be at Chicagoland Speedway for the Grand National Series. And let me just check the schedule, make sure I get it accurate. Of course, running behind tonight, I didn't get a chance to peek at the schedule as I usually do and put a little promo thingy up on the side of the screen. Let's see, Grand National-wise, next week, yeah, following, so on the 16th, we're at Chicagoland before a trip to Nashville there. And then on the Cup side of things, it is the... Atlanta Motor Speedway. So we're going to go super speedway racing on July 10th. So that'll be fun. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm still sitting here trying to process what happened. And I want to say I'm good on Bob Gillenwater.
Yes.
I wish he could have had it even Steven. I would have loved to seen him. I think he could have stolen one away from these in his rare appearance if he had tires. I think he's every bit as stout as them. Joe Hudson and Bob Gillenwater were almost photo finish at the line, and Hudson comes away with a 5th. And then from behind that, the storylines of who finished where is just absurd. Donnie Leah and Chad Coleman came together at the end. Pedro had his problems. They do not show in the finish order how well they ran all night long, which, what a crazy night. I will say to you, Chris, if you go to iRacing and you look up the race, one of those graphs that shows, I was running 9th, now I'm running, and in this lap I moved to, it would look like somebody scribbled all over the place. The amount of change in positions we saw throughout this race and the complexion changes from the different cautions and the way everything went, it was a crazy night. Crazy.
It was a crazy night, and we're expecting it to continue to be crazy. That's what Sim500 is all about, the best fixed iRacing league in iRacing. So looking forward to more action as we get into the summer months. Again, we'll take the 4th of July week off and come back from Chicagoland for the Sim500 at NC811.org Grand National Series. So that should be a fun one to be a part of there. So we're going to head out and go get ready for some more fun. And I got to go drive my new Captain Esports Network semi to Chicago. I don't know if you're in Discord, you saw the photo. I posted it last night when I arrived in Nashville, but I'm now driving to tracks, sort of. You can't really get to the tracks on
Virtually.
The truck sim, but that's another deal.
I want to know how the brackets turned out.
That is a great question, and I think we're going to, that's going to be interesting. We'll have to see what that looks like here in 2 weeks. So,
It'll take us the 2 weeks to figure it out.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Kev, appreciate it, man. We'll see you next week, buddy. Or 2 weeks.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Absolutely. As we head out, always remember this isn't just a game. It's iRacing. See ya!
Searching for greatness in a sea of the dying and shameless. A sea of the aimless. I don't wanna be one of the nameless. I'ma wake up with the mindset that one day I'm gonna make it. And I don't think I'll be fine if I don't break my limitations. Don't try to stop me, I exist to write my own story. I'll make a decision if I want some peace or if I want the glory. Yeah, don't want a life that is complacent or possibly boring. I just want a life that is worth every day exploring.
My whole life I just wanted someone who would notice me. My whole life I just wanted to be somebody to be. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be